Let's bring in opinion writer at the New York Times, Mara Gay, and chief White House correspondent for the New York Times, Peter Baker. Good to have you both. Peter, your latest piece for the New York Times is entitled Trump's Effort to Control Information, Echo an Authoritarian Playbook. And in it, you write in part, quote, an old rule in Washington holds that you are entitled to your own opinion, but you are not entitled to your own facts. President Trump seems determined to prove that wrong. Don't like an intelligent report that contradicts your view? Go after the analysts. Don't like cost estimates for your tax plan? Invent your own. Don't like a predecessor's climate policies? Scrub government websites of underlying data. Don't like a museum exhibit that cites your impeachment? Delete any mention of them. Mr. Trump's war on facts reached new heights on Friday when he angrily fired the Labor Department official in charge of compiling statistics on employment in America because he didn't like the latest jobs report showing that the economy isn't doing as well as he claims it is. The message, however, was unmistakable. Government officials who deal in data now fear they have to toe the line or risk losing their jobs. And Peter, it's a great point you make that it's taking something that I think a lot of people knew was going to happen. I think in many ways, Trump warned Americans about some of the actions that he would take during his presidency, and a lot of his patterns that he had shown in his first presidency are reflected here, but perhaps they're highlighted more, and they are bigger and stronger moves because the people around him have different attitudes toward the Constitution and their roles as government servants. I'm wondering what you're seeing and hearing as you cover this story about how this is being received on the right, not just among the MAGA base, but right-wing news organizations that usually toe the line for this president.
Yeah, I think that, look, if it was just about this one statistics official, it may not be that big a deal. But the problem is that it's not just about this one situation. It's about a whole pattern of information that we have seen in the 6 months since the president took office again. And yes, in the past, of course, he has always dealt in what one of his aides, of course, famously called alternative facts. But this time around, this term, he seems more intent than ever on imposing these alternative facts or an alternative version of reality on the government itself, right? Whether it be vaccines, whether it would be weather patterns, whether it be all kinds of different data or information that the government makes available. And I think you ask about Republicans or people on the right. I mean, you saw with that package that Kelly showed, there's some real discomfort among Republicans because, in fact, Republicans and Democrats both have an interest in having data that they can rely on in order to make their decisions, in order to make judgments, in order to have a debate. If we don't trust the information, if it becomes like, okay, this is a Democratic Labor Department report or a Republican Labor Department report, then it really makes it hard for policymakers to make judgments. Now, look, the president is saying that that was the problem then because she, the woman who was in charge of the labor statistics, had to revise previous months in terms of the number of jobs created. Well, that happens. It does happen. And yes, they were relatively high, but it happened last year as well, and it's happened under previous people in this job. There's no evidence whatsoever that the numbers were rigged or cooked or somehow intentionally made to be wrong. And I think that sends a chill throughout the government that you're hearing a lot of in the federal workforce today.